Guys, this is Alexander Creek, and welcome to another episode of Clairvoyant Conversations. This week, we're going to go back to basics, and we are going to um, talk about what numerology is, and also how to figure out your life path number at home, and also, that way you can figure out your friends and family members' life path number as well. So, in my opinion, everyone knows their sun sign in astrology. If you know that you're a Taurus, you know that you're a Gemini, that is your sun sign. That's based on your birthday. Um, I think that your life path number is as important as knowing, that basic information about your astrology chart, and knowing some of your numbers is super, super helpful for just, kind of getting clear on, who you are, your likes and dislikes, and more importantly, your opportunities and your challenges and your natural born talents and abilities. Okay. So, numerology is, many different cultures have their own divinatory arts. Um, a divinatory art, just like tarot or astrology, it's a ritual or a system used to glean information about someone or something or to gain insight on something. Okay. So whether that's looking at, the entrails of a dead animal or looking at, tea leaves in the bottom of a cup, um, that is a divinatory art. Numerology, like astrology, is a bit more technical. Like it has a kind of a strict set of rules and formulas for figuring things out, and it's sort of more. I do not want to call it a science because scientists I think would object to that, but it has kind of like any sort of science experiment or controlled experiment. There's a specific set of rules you follow when casting a chart. Okay, you don't just make them up. It's based on a set of rules and formulas. All right. But when you follow the formula and you get the, we will do the life path number today. When you follow that formula and you get the life path number, your intuition does play a role in how you interpret the information. Okay, so that's where this sort of art comes in. Um, so the numerology that I do, it's Western numerology, or it's also referred to as Pythagorean numerology. So this system was really developed in the early 1900s during the spiritualist movement, and it was actually developed by a group of women. Gina Jordan and her mother Julia Seaton really popularized this system, and Gina Jordan is considered really kind of the godmother of this whole system, and her books that came out in the mid, I think her first one came out in the 70s or the 60s. I can't remember. It's called The Romance in Your Name by Dr. Gina Jordan. And many of the numerology books that have followed are really based on her information. I'm going to say that there hasn't been a tremendous amount of new information that's come out about it. It's just kind of been reinterpreting her information and refining it. Um, so I would check her out. I don't even know if her books are in print anymore, but that's really my teacher at the time really kind of like beat it in my brain that that is the Bible, of this information. And going back and doing the research myself, I can safely say that yes, it is. And I refer to her book all the time. Okay. So let's talk about the first number in your chart, probably the most important number in your chart. And you really are a blend of a bunch of different numbers in your chart. It's not just one thing, of course, because there are really 9 different life paths. Um, of course, there are not just 9 different types of people. Okay. You are a blend of all of this energy. Okay. Um, but just knowing your life path number gives you a little bit more direction in life. And it's really kind of fascinating to hear that validation about yourself. So, to find your life path number, go ahead and write down your birthday. So, I'm going to use a fake birthday, okay? Just for the sake of explaining. So, write down your birthday, write down the month, the day of birth, and the year in that order. And let's use the birthday December 11th, 1989. So write it down as 12/11/1989. So we pretty much are going to reduce most numbers to a single digit in numerology. Okay, and there are a few different methods, and this is the one I prefer. And I think it's one of them. I think it's one of the more correct methods. I hesitate to use the word correct, but I just think it's the most accurate. And that's the one I've been using for years. I'm just going to stick with it. Okay, so just use this one when you're if you're listening to me now. Just use this specific calculation method. So we reduce most numbers to a single digit. Okay, so for a life path, basically we're going to add up all of these digits and arrive at a single digit. So under this fake birthday, okay, 12/11/1989, you're going to take the 12 and you're going to add 1 plus 2, and you're going to put a 3 under that because 1 plus 2 is 3. So we're going to reduce the 12 to a 3. We pretty much add all these numbers, okay? The 11, we're actually going to leave the 11 alone. That's considered a master number. 11 and 22, when you see those numbers, never reduce those. Those have a very special meaning, and we're going to leave that alone. So just write 11 under that 11. In the year 1989, just go ahead and add a cross. So 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9, you get 27. So with this number 27, add 2 plus 7, so you finally arrive at a 9. So go ahead and write 9 underneath 1989. So you should have the numbers 3, 11, and 9, and go ahead and add those up. So 3 plus 11 plus 9 equals 23. Okay, so this person's life path is at 23. Okay, so we're going to add the 2 and the 3, and we finally arrive at a 5. So this person, born on 12/11/1989, is a 5 life path. All right. And these little double digits before you get to the single digit of the life path, they all mean something different. I'm not going to get into those this episode. We're just going to look at the single digit and keep things really, really simple because I don't want to overwhelm you guys with the little subtleties and technical details because I will go on so many tangents. I just want to keep things very structured today as much as I can. Okay. So, that's how you arrive at the life path number. So it's really month plus day plus year, but you have to get those single digits first, and you don't reduce master numbers. Okay, so do that for your own birthday, and then I'll go through each of the life path numbers and really tell you about that energy and what it means. Okay, so before I even begin actually talking about what the life path number means, I want to share a little bit of my philosophy with you so I can back into this with some structure. So, my belief is that this is not your first go round on Earth. This is not your first time in a human body having these experiences. Your soul, before you decide to incarnate on Earth or any other place, I guess, your soul's goal is to learn lessons and have experiences, and you really are deciding the bulk of these experiences that you want to have. You're deciding the lessons that you want to learn before you incarnate into this lifetime. Okay, so with the help of the universe, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, you really kind of you're going to decide who your parents are. You're going to, you're really going to kind of decide the kinds of experiences that you want to have, that we might as humans perceive as positive or negative, you're going to decide what kinds of experiences that you would like to have when you get to Earth. Okay, so you might decide that, hey, I'm going to have I'm gonna totally be gay this time. I'm gonna be a gay man, and I'm gonna have mom and dad, and you know, whatever. And I'm gonna be a firefighter or something. Okay. And I'm gonna maybe have this challenge, but I'm gonna bring these talents that I've acquired in different lifetimes into this incarnation. And your numerology really, as your chart as a whole, talks about your soul's story. Your soul has this story of where it's been, where maybe where it wants to go. And your soul looks at these experiences that you have in a very sort of neutral way. Like your soul doesn't perceive necessarily that, oh, my relationship with my mother is negative and bad. Actually, it's really going to gain a lot of experience from having a challenging relationship with someone because it wants to learn a specific lesson, and your chart is going to talk about these experiences. So, your life path is a part of this sort of unique soul code. And, as you can see, I really am of the belief that there is a certain order to the universe. And, if you think that the universe is chaotic and random, maybe studying numerology might be good for you because it's really going to kind of show you patterns and point to specific things that do occur during the lifetime, or that you can point to this specific energy in this person and say like, well, that's kind of weird that all lines up. So I really kind of come at it from that mindset of your soul has had a rich amount of experiences. It's infinitely wise, and it really is here to grow. You are here to grow your soul. In your numerology chart, it's talking about the talents and abilities you bring in already from other lifetimes, who you are as a soul, and where you're really going to be going. Okay, in the Lifepath Number specifically, it's a part of your soul code that is talking about, I feel like I'm repeating myself again, I'm sorry. Natural born talents and abilities, who you are, the talents that ooze out of you, and it's really going to kind of talk about the path that you're going to walk, hence the name Life Path, and the challenges and opportunities that come across it. You can kind of think about your Life Path Number like a magnet, kind of, like if you've looked at the law of attraction, because you emanate this energy out from you, you're going to attract experiences to you. So let's say you're a 5 life path, don't worry, I'll get to all these in detail. Let's say you're a 5 life path, and your life is about change, travel, versatility, being adaptable. You're going to attract those, experiences to you. You're going to attract opportunities to travel, opportunities to communicate effectively, opportunities to have different exciting experiences. So, is there anything else I want to say about that? so, I don't think so. Let's just kind of get into what each number means. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the 1 life path. Okay, so if you arrived at a 10, a 1, a 19, 28 in your life path, that's a 1 life path. Okay, so 1 energy is, I look at it as kind of like the divine masculine. It's a very sort of masculine archetype energy. Ones, ones are natural born leaders. Ones definitely need respect. They're very competitive. They prefer being the boss or having their own business. Ones like to be in charge. And also because the 1, we're looking at like, oh, one of a kind, literally. Ones are very unique, very original, very creative, intelligent. There's really no one else like them. They often have unique solutions to solving problems, and they can be a bit unusual. And 1 energy, frankly, they don't really care what you think about them. It's really important for them to express their individuality and to be themselves. Success is important to 1, and they literally want to be number 1. Ones can appear, ones can also, they can appear very confident. Often they are very confident, but sometimes they really do need the support of others to sort of bolster their confidence. Confidence is kind of a key word to them, and it's something that they can kind of go up and down with, that they can kind of rock their confidence, or that they can also struggle with it too. They need ones really need physical activity, exercise. They tend to do well in competitive sports. They have a lot of physical energy, and they need to exercise that. And there's often sometimes a quick temper, I think, with the one as well, but it's not. But it's not. I don't think that they really hold on to it. It's like they express their anger and then it's gone. Okay. Also, some kind of lessons and themes that come with the one sometimes, are learning to be independent, standing on their own 2 feet, standing their ground, expressing their individuality, and really kind of the theme of like pulling themselves up by their bootstraps really can that can kind of resonate for the one. Okay, and learning confidence as well. Some of the, they're always, a number is not just all positive either. Like it's always, like a mixed bag. Okay. And it just really depends on the person. Sometimes the negatives that come with the one can be pride and overconfidence, or it can be, not confident and they need to learn confidence. Okay. Some of, let's see, I know Tom Cruise is a one life path. Lady Gaga is a very kind of strong example of a one life path as well. Someone who literally is, Lady Gaga is known for her strangeness, like her uniqueness, and also this like drive for success. And often people with one energy can be very successful. They really want to climb that ladder and be on top. So that is one energy. Let's see. Let's talk about the two next. Okay, if you have a 2 life path, if you are 2 or 20, this applies to you. Also, if you are 29, 11, 47, these are 11 life paths, and the 2 does apply to you, but there's a little extra added something with the 11, and make sure you listen to the part about the 11 coming up as well. So, if you have 2 energy, this is the diplomat, this is the peacemaker, this is someone who is cooperative, this is someone who is tactful. 2 is a very patient energy. 2 really makes a good counselor. They're someone that you can come to with their problems. They really make a good listener. They make very supportive partners as well too. They just tend to like to cater to someone. They're really kind of lovers and not fighters. And on some level, they really are here to be a partner to someone. And they do well in partnerships. They also do well in a supportive role for sure too. 2s sometimes are more comfortable in the background, playing a supportive role. They're very good at details, very detail oriented. They can see the small thing. Where like 1 energy can be more maybe big picture. 2 energy is it's like a number that can more carefully kind of implement this plan and see to all the little details. Because 2 is such a peacemaker. This is really kind of like one of the key words is peacemaker. They need peace over everything. They have a hard time with conflict, engaging in direct conflict. They actually have a talent for negotiating conflict, for, kind of being in the middle of 2 parties and settling them both down. They make very good mediators, very good diplomats. Politicians, actually, too. A lot of our presidents have been 11s or 2s. Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, for example, both 11s and or 2s with them. They 2 life paths can also be quite empathic, meaning that they are so sensitive sometimes it can present a problem for them. And empathic is really kind of the ability to pick up on other people's energy and kind of take it home with you. And, because you feel people's energy so strongly, sometimes it's like, when someone else is upset, it's sort of like you are going to want to do anything you can to kind of calm them down because you really take on that energy in your energy field. What else am I going to talk about with the 2 here, guys? Again, 2s very much lovers, not fighters. One thing with the two, one kind of downside is sometimes twos will sort of take on, like they'll remember all the times they got their feelings hurt, and instead of addressing it, they'll kind of carry it around with them. Like they have a very long emotional memory. Um, so one lesson sometimes that the two needs to learn is just being able to engage in conflict in a very constructive way, and to not worry so much about hurting the other person's feelings. Okay, because twos are very good about not hurting people's feelings. Um, and I think that covers it for the two. Oh, I guess I talked about the downside with the one. We'll talk about the downside with the two. Downside with the two, sometimes it's can be shyness. They can be very shy. Sometimes they can, because they can, two is about, you kind of think about Libra. I kind of think about Libra energy with the two. It's being able to see both sides of a situation. They can be kind of slow to make a decision, or very indecisive because they can see both sides. And twos, I kind of associate this energy with anxiety and depression sometimes, because again, it's this very sensitive, perceptive energy, and they can, two really needs to learn to let go of emotions they may be carrying around that may not even originate with them. It may originate with other people. And sometimes, if you have, a boatload of two energy, I do associate with this I do associate that with anxiety and depression sometimes. Um, okay, so that about covers it for two. Let me remember who other two celebs are as well. Jennifer Aniston, Madonna, Diana Ross. These are also examples of two life paths. Um, okay, let's talk about the three next. Okay, so if you arrived at a 3, a 12, 21, or 30 in your chart, your three life path. So threes, you really have a gift of expression. Um, you are really here to express yourself. Threes have a gift with words, writing, art, music, being creative. Um, Anything along those lines, they tend to have a talent for. And I hear some from threes sometimes, like, oh, I don't think I'm creative, blah, blah, blah. But then they'll sort of go like, whether it's crafting or scrapbooking or even writing like a zippy, you have like a knack for entertaining people. That is three energy. A lot of threes, you'll find them in the entertainment field. Actors, comedians. There's a boatload of threes in Hollywood right now. Threes just have a way of being entertaining. They tend to be likable and popular. Um, You'll find the occasional three who, like rejects all that and is kind of like a loner sort of, writer or something. But oftentimes this is a number that is I associate with like friends and social groups. And oftentimes threes really care what people think about them. And that's one of the challenges of the three, is to express yourself no matter what, and to really not care what people think about you, because threes often kind of care how they are perceived. Threes are very visual. They have a way with color, with fashion. Like many an it girl, I think, was probably a three. There's just something about a three sometimes that kind of just they come across as likable. Okay. If a three is not a three needs to express its feelings, oftentimes they will sort of bottle it up, and it'll sort of all come out in one sort of big crying fit, and then they'll be over it. So make sure that you are expressing yourself, expressing your feelings. And really the key word of this is joy. Like three is very much a Peter Pan energy, doesn't really want to grow up. It's okay to play, to act childlike. That is really kind of the threes calling. Threes tend to look younger than other people as well, provided you take care of yourself. There's just a little sparkle, like a little fairy energy to people with three energy. And if I didn't mention already, friends and social groups do play a role in a three's life. They bring opportunities. They also bring drama as well. So that is something with the three to manage, is, friends, social groups, your relationships, that kind of thing. One thing about the three is squirrel brain. So threes need to learn to focus on one thing, or just focus on the task at hand before moving on to something else, because threes can be distracted quite easily. And sometimes there is a lesson on like the sort of if we talked about all the positive qualities of three, so let's talk about the negative. Okay, so sometimes with three energy, I've noticed threes can be definite partiers for sure. Like partying, socializing can take maybe more of an emphasis in their lives than accomplishing something. So that's kind of like a downside. I know just as many threes who are amazing artists or actors or writers or whatever it is, or just simply they're popular and well liked versus someone who might be kind of an over partier. Or I've also noticed a lot of threes actually are in the service industry too, like a lot of servers, a lot of your bartenders, because they can turn on the charm. They know how to talk to someone. They know how to kind of turn on that people switch. Even if they're not 100% an extrovert, they can kind of still manage to sort of turn that on. Really, threes are generally pretty good about seeing glasses half full. Three is kind of considered a fortunate or lucky number to have in the chart. It's more of a lighter path to follow because you really are here to express yourself, to enjoy life, and really to see glasses half full. And that's how they attract opportunities. That's how they stumble into sort of lucky circumstances because that you really, if you have three, you really want to harness that ability to see glasses half full, and then you attract those opportunities to you. So I think that covers it for the three. So keywords there: artist, writer, actor, anything on stage, social groups, happy, happy, joy, joy, energy. It's okay to be the child with the three. So let's move on to the four here. Actually, before I move on to the four, a couple three celebrities: Hillary Clinton, Christina Aguilera, David Bowie, Kylie Minogue. These are all people with very strong three energy. Just a little heads up there. If you have 31, 13, 4, if any way that you arrived at a four life path. If you got a 22, this applies to you as well, but there's again something extra with the 22. So listen to when I talk about the 22 life path. So four energy is very much like the practical builder. So this is a very practical earth-based energy. Four does not like to reinvent the wheel. If it ain't broke, don't fix it was probably coined by someone with four energy. Okay, this is a very dependable, hard-working energy. It's very kind of salt of the earth. If we did not have four energy on this planet, nothing would get done. So, four, it tends to be hardworking, responsible, practical, very down to earth. It tends to be like it's very stable, kind of even keeled, disciplined energy. Okay, so these people make good managers. They can really organize chaos. Like they tend to be. I wouldn't say 13 so much with this because four is a pretty organized number. 13 can be a little bit more scattered, and I'll do another episode on the kind of differences in these double digits. Okay, because 13 is a little bit more creative version of the four. Fours can be very frugal often. Like there's someone typically, I would associate like the four archetype with like a solid savings account, a retirement plan. They like security. I think about Taurus when I think about four energy as well, just because it's a very fixed energy. It does not really do well with sudden change. They're not super adaptable. They like things to kind of stay the same. They're very routine oriented. If you have four energy, you need something practical and solid in your life. That comes to relationships too. You need like solidity in a partner. You need something. You need like you really bring a kind of solid practical energy to your job. If people with four energy tend to be the kind of cornerstone at their workplace, people tend to rely on them. Having a four on your team, I think, is a valuable asset. What else do I want to say about the four? It tends to be pretty law and order. Like fours, you'll find people with four energy can be more conservative. Not maybe politically. Sometimes that is literally politically, but they're kind of attracted to the military, the police, anything where it's very structural. Like we're very structured. They're very comfortable with rules. and they're comfortable, really kind of upholding the law, and um, they're comfortable like being around authority. They just kind of understand how that hierarchy works, because four is about the order in which we live, and it's about it's upholding kind of structure of society. If we didn't have four, society would fall apart. So um, I have noticed some of the negative qualities with the fours can actually become there's workaholism or like associated with the four. They can be quite rigid as well too. And I think the four sometimes need to learn how to relax, and not everything needs to be perfect. Not everything needs to be done a certain way. Sometimes fours just need to chill out, and they can be a bit sort of uncompromising sometimes as well. And I'll mention this too. I know I'm not. I said I wasn't gonna. If you have a 13 in your chart, in your life path number, this is a more creative version of the four. It can be a bit. You can be a bit scattered early on in life, and at some point in life, usually around the Saturn return, is kind of when you get it together and you really kind of find your purpose, find your focus, and you really kind of bring in these more positive qualities of the four with that 13. So I just wanted to mention that. Um, I think that's about it for the four. I will say they are very devoted to their family, and they're pretty committed in their relationships. Four people tend to say what they mean and like do what they say. So, all right, so let's move on to the five. Oh, four life path celebrities here. Oprah Winfrey is actually a four. Let's see. Donald Trump, unfortunately, is a four life path as well. He's an example of a 13-4. Nicole Kidman's a four life path. Leonardo da Vinci apparently is a four life path as well, if his birth information is accurate. Arnold Schwarzenegger as well is a four life path. So let's move on. Okay, so if you arrived at 5, 14, 23, 32, blah, 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 anything adds up to a 5, you're a 5 life path. All right, so 5 energy is, it's about change, travel, adventure. If 5 energy is really kind of this free spirited hippie energy to me, it is progressive, where the 4 is conservative. 5 is about the future. 5 wants to I associate 5 energy with different kinds of non-traditional people, non-traditional living arrangements. Polyamory. Being in an open relationship. That's more of a 5 thing. You're not saying all fives are going to be like open relationship people, but that's something I kind of associated with like with that energy. 5 is really kind of a more of a Rolling Stone energy. You can really wear a few different hats in a 5 if you're a 5 life path. You can have a few different, it's not uncommon to have a few different careers, to live all over the place, to live different parts of the world, to travel. 5 needs change. You need different experiences. You're here to kind of just try a little bit of everything sometimes, because you get bored quickly. Fives, your mind moves very fast. It's very quick-witted. It can be quite scientific as well. You're also a natural-born communicator, so you're good at. There's a good writer. You're a good communicator. It's associated with the media as well. Um, Fives do tend to they tend to get along well with people. That's of course depending on other numbers in the chart, but 5 by itself does play. It gets along with all types of people. It's a pretty kind of easygoing kind of energy. Um, you're gonna have fives are a really kind of vibe with the idea of change, of constant change, and being okay with that. Um, And sometimes it's change that you initiate, sometimes it's just kind of happens to you, and that you have these opportunities to do different things in your life. If you're a 5 and you don't know what to do when you grow up, that's whatever. That's your 5 life path. You're going to do a few different you're going to do a few different things, and it's okay. I associate five energy to as well with like a physical sensuality. There's a sort of unconventional sexiness to a five. There's like a kind of like a sex. I associate five with like sex, drugs, rock and roll. Mick Jagger is a five life path. Okay, so you can look at him as someone who, um, especially back in the day. I wouldn't say now. I'd say back in the day, kind of radiated like sexuality, but you wouldn't necessarily look at him and say, "Wow, what a handsome guy." Okay, but there is a certain kind of wild sex appeal to him. And I think it's important for fives and to explore the sensuality of their bodies. When you have five, you just tend to have heightened physical senses. Food tastes better, alcohol tastes a little better, sex feels better. And it's important on some level to engage in the pleasure centers of the body without overdoing it, because five is also associated with addiction if taken too far. And five sometimes may struggle with, if you have issues with the five, then you can struggle with overdoing it a little bit, overdoing the travel thing, moving too much or eating too much, or having sex too much, whatever. Okay, not true with all fives, of course. Everyone's different, but oftentimes these themes can kind of, what can be a positive, if done too much, can turn into a negative. Um, let's see. What else do I want to say about the five? Quick-witted, of course. I think I said that already. So I think I'm just gonna move on. So five, if you have a five life path, it's kind of a versatile. Sorry, that's a kind of a gay joke I just made. Sorry. It's adaptable, versatile, quick-witted. Change, variety, travel. It's important for you to experience different cultures, to try different foods, to just really kind of belly up to the buffet of life, as they say, with the five. Okay, so that's the five life path. Let's look at a couple five celebrities here as well. Where's my list here? Mick Jagger, of course. Mick Jagger is a five life path. Tina Turner, Beyonce, Queen Bey is a five life path. Um, Angelina Jolie, like globe-trotting, international Angelina Jolie is a five life path, all right? So let's move on to the six. So the six life path, 6, 15, 33. If you have a 33, by the way, that is a master number. So this bit is important, but also listen to the bit about 33 right at the end of the podcast, okay? So if you're a six life path, this is like cosmic mother, father, nurturer energy. You are someone who tends to be responsible. Home, heart, family is important to you. You make a good partner. You are committed to your family, your friends, people that are important to you. When you look at the six, it looks like it's pregnant. Okay, because that's kind of where we get the energy of the six. It's like pregnant with love. It's really like the most loving number as far as its personal relationship goes in its community. Um, they tend to be responsible. They tend to be balanced and fair, and they typically have pretty loving hearts, especially when it comes to their family. They're very protective of their family. They'll really do anything for family or those they consider family, especially for queer people. I'm kind of talking to you. I'm talking about the family that you choose as well as blood family, because with queer people, oftentimes um, I'm lucky that most of my family is pretty supportive. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of queer people out there that their families reject them. Okay, so I'm talking the family that you make is just as important as your blood family, and that's something with the six energy. And if I were to go to a person with six energy's house, they might. I would think that they make me feel really welcome, and they're very nurturing and dote on me, and bring me tea and cookies, and cook me dinner, and that kind of thing. Sixes just tend to be interested in nesting, any affairs with the home, interior decorating, making their home look nice, um, or at least just being devoted to family. You'll often find them in positions of management or anything where they are responsible for people or responsible for a business, because keywords here are duty and responsibility in career as well as home and family as well. Um, One thing with the six, pardon me, I'm sorry, I just coughed in my microphone. One thing with the six is that they sometimes will take on too much responsibility, or they will do things for other people instead of doing things for themselves. And sixes will need to learn self love. So if you have a six in your chart and you're guilty of this, that's fine. Just fill your own tank before you worry about someone else, because sixes can be warriors, and I'm saying worriers, not warriors, although that could be true too. But sixes can be warriors, so they can, worry about other people, and having a six is really kind of a blessing. I think I would say that being around people with six energy is just a blessing, right? But make sure, guys, if you have six energy, that you're taking really doing self-care first before taking care of other people. Sixes are obviously very good with children and animals, plants. It's just a very kind of nurturing, sweet energy. I love people with six. There's an artistic, creative side to sixes as well. Sometimes this ability is latent, meaning it's maybe not accessed or it's not as apparent. But oftentimes sixes are very artistic, very musical. I associate music with six as well. And I think that covers it. Yeah, I think that covers it for the six. Um, let's see here. Oh, I forgot. Michael Jackson's a six life path. Michael Jackson's a six life path. Goldie Hawn, Christopher Reeve. These are all. John Lennon is a six life path as well. So let us move on. Okay, so let's talk about the seven next. There are probably a lot of seven life paths listening to this podcast, or people with seven energy listening to this podcast. Seven energy is it's kind of like the wise mystic, wise old sage energy. I really look at the hermit in tarot as really kind of like six energy, or wow, seven energy. We're talking about seven right now, guys. So we came up with 7, 16, 25, 34. These are all seven life paths. Seven, first and foremost, to me, is a mixture of right brain, left brain, logic, intuition. If you have seven energy, you are analytical. You can figure out patterns. It's very scientific. It's very much the detective. You get to the bottom of things. You want to know why. Why? Seven is going to be asking lots of questions, because seven is the deep thinker. It's a philosopher. And it's very like sevens can be very skeptical. Like they're gonna be like, show me the proof before I believe what you're saying. Okay. However, sevens also are very intuitive as well. You have an inner sense of truth with the sevens. Sevens kind of know truth when they hear it. They have a very good kind of inner lighthouse, very strong gut feelings. Seven is very unusual. Seven, you kind of operate on a different wavelength when you have seven energy. And the sevens can be quite psychic, okay? Because a seven is associated with the occult, the paranormal, you know, the experiences outside our normal, you know, just our normal sort of earth-based experiences. Sevens might be interested in the unusual, the sort of fringe scientific phenomenon, okay? Meditation is very important for sevens. Seven, you're learning to find inner peace with a seven. And, grounding is very important. Meditation, yoga. I'm not a doctor, so don't take this as medical advice. But if you have seven energy, it is really important to find other health practices that include Western medicine, but also go beyond it to include like Eastern medicine. So again, like working with the chakras is super important. Acupuncture, stuff like that. That's going to be helpful for you because sevens are pretty sensitive. Sevens have a very sensitive energetic system. You need time to be alone to recharge your batteries, to really connect to your soul. And because sevens just tend to be highly psychic, it's you tend to pick up on other people's energy, and you need time at the end of the day to ground and release that energy, and just time to kind of get away from all the noise. To get it like you can be extroverted, but sevens do need time alone to recharge their batteries, to journal, to meditate, that kind of thing. Sevens tend to have a natural talent with numerology, with astrology, with tarot, anything where you're going to kind of get to the bottom of something and get some insight. Sevens, like there's a wisdom to a seven. What else do I want to talk about with the seven? I have a lot of seven energy, so this is something that I like to talk about. Um, Sevens are a lot of the time they're not going to resonate to organized religion or to conventional religion, and they're really going to want to take time to explore different modalities and really find their own truth. As I said before, sevens, they're not going to believe everything that they hear. There is going to like a natural skeptic to a seven that is healthy, and they're really going to want to research things for themselves. And oftentimes they may not be super spiritual. They might be super, super atheist, super agnostic. Um, but you're going to bring sevens are natural teachers because they understand complex information subjects, and they're good at kind of translating that to people, to explaining it to people. Um, Sometimes with seven energy, it's like hard to it's more still waters run deep with the seven. It's like a rich inner life, and sometimes it's more difficult with people with seven energy, I think, to express their emotions. So something that they need to work on is kind of letting their guard down and expressing their emotions, how they feel about someone. And there is this kind of loner energy with the sevens sometimes, but sevens do need connection. So make sure you get outside and talk to people. You seven life paths. So I think that covers it for the seven. And also, I just want to mention with seven as well. You're gonna notice things on a deeper level. Okay, it's like you're really here to kind of notice to really kind of to notice things on a deeper level and go beyond the surface. Different seven life paths. Andy Warhol, Princess Diana, Jerry Seinfeld would be some examples of seven life path. Also, I can't remember his name. Wow. One of the original Ghostbusters, and I feel bad that I can't remember his name. He is on the autism spectrum, and he is this out and proud spiritualist. He's someone who's very interested in the paranormal, interested in like ghosts, all that kind of stuff. So oftentimes you will kind of find sevens are kind of attracted to those subjects, and aren't just going to believe everything they read on the internet. They're going to really kind of want to research and deepen it further. I wish I could remember his name. Anyway, okay, let's move on to seven, or let's move on to eight. Excuse me. Okay, let's talk about the 8 life path. If you arrived at an 8, 17, 26, 35, these are all going to be versions of the 8, okay? So the number 8, when you look at the infinity symbol and turn it on its side, you have the number 8, and that's no accident, okay? The number 8 is about it's about mastering the material world, okay? And it can be about material abundance and success and riches. It can also be about struggle, overcoming something, being a survivor. The number 8, if you have an 8 life path, you really have the inner potential to be a CEO, executive, to be a good 7 or 8s tend to be good managers, good organizers. They're good at being in charge of people. They're good at delegating. They tend to have some social grace as well, and they can really move up in the career world and the corporate ladder. They tend to be good with finances, money, really kind of with strategy, with 8 is really a power number. You really don't want to mess with an 8. eights tend to be attracted to the good life. They tend to, if you're in a coffee shop and you're sitting next to a lady kind of decked out and she has a designer bag and she's on a conference call and she's kind of projecting this sort of inner power. You're sitting next to someone with some serious eight energy. Okay. Um, People with eight, they can sometimes be born into money. Um, uh, and sometimes, they come from nothing, and you can really build a really materially abundant life for yourself. And it's not really about how much wealth you can build. It's really what you can achieve, because you can achieve a lot with an eight in your chart, and you're really going to be around powerful people, being around those in power, being around that kind of world on some level, and you kind of have to scale it to your own life. It may not that you're going to be rubbing elbows with like Hollywood executives, but it could mean that you're in like the town that you live, that you're really making things happen and working with people that are in power, that you have power yourself. It's really important for people with eight energy to set goals and achieve them, because there's really you can dig down deep with an eight and find laser focus in getting things done, but it is about achieving goals with an eight. Eights like status. Typically, they like status. They like to be seen as having status. They like, you know, uh, they like to be seen as someone who is like important. And it's okay. That's if you're an eight, then that's you. You project that out. And eights, I also identify with being a survivor, because it's not all one. Sometimes it is one smooth ride. Sometimes it is not, and there are so many eights that have clawed their way through difficult circumstances, who have even declared bankruptcy and come out on the other side and are doing really, really well. So you can really bounce back if you have eight energy, as long as you really focus yourself. It's really, really important for eights to be ethical. To Eights are a good judge of character. Okay, so it's important to utilize that to pay your taxes, because eight is also instant karma. Okay, so if you're squirreling away money, or if you're working with someone who's pretty unsavory, you're going to get caught more often than not if you have eight energy, because it's really important to, the higher we go up in the numbers, like 7, 8, 9 is really kind of more about the metaphysical and spiritual components to it. So you really want to bring in these sort of higher ethics when you have eight energy. What else do I want to say about the eight here? What am I forgetting? Let me check my notes. Workaholism is associated with the eight as well. Also, just the negatives about the eight. You can't control everything as an eight. You can't control every outcome, and it's important to be upfront and not. Sometimes, there are great eight life paths in the world, and sometimes, not so great eights. So sometimes, being I think manipulative can be a negative as an eight, and also, kind of putting money and success before everything. Okay, it's important as an eight, but it's not everything. So one example of an eight is Martha Stewart. So self-made, kind of clawed her way to the top, but also, and this was an example pointed out to me when I originally started learning numerology from my teacher, and she pointed out a specific time in her life when she was caught with insider trading and went to jail and really kind of had to start all over. And that's something that that's can be something that can happen if you have eight energy. It's probably not going to apply to you, but just know that staying ethical is super important. But you can really build a lot of success for yourself. So that's if you have eight energy. Let's move on to the 9. Okay, so 9 energy, 1 through 9. 9 is the highest number. 9 is going to come with these really sort of very specific, higher kind of lessons. So number one, 9 is a global humanitarian number. 9 really wants to save the earth. Like I say, the earth and everyone in it. They're very much big picture people. 9 it tends to be pretty compassionate, very gregarious. 9 has a lot of charisma. They tend to be leaders. Because 9 is this highest number, it's saying that you're an old soul, that you've lived so many different lifetimes, that you're bringing all of these other experiences into this lifetime, because 9 contains it contains the energy of all the other numbers within it. So you really kind of have it all with the 9. The thing with the 9 is that 9s can be definitely dreamers, and or they spend a long time being the eternal student, when really 9 comes in as a spiritual teacher. You have a lot of wisdom as a 9. 9s can be pretty naive as well too. They can kind of believe that everyone is good and everyone is doing the right thing, and you might get taken for a sob story when you're a 9. So you need to learn as a 9 life path to be more discerning, and to not every person's sob story is really it's really worth it. So 9s can be extremely artistic. They tend to be just attracted to drama, the theater, art, at least patrons of the art, if not artists themselves, even art critics, something like that. 9s are pretty good at that. Again, they tend to be deep thinkers, philosophers, writers, and they just tend to feel a lot. 9s have a big heart, and they expect a lot from the world around them, because they know on some level of what it can be. They know that the world can really kind of be this utopian kind of place. And oftentimes they sort of learn early on that there's disappointment that comes with having this human existence, that not everything lives up to their ideals. I think about 9 energy, and I associate with a charity, nonprofit, working on behalf of the betterment of humankind, and really just 9s are pretty good at getting along with people too, most of the time. For every 9 life path that's almost saint-like, or at least exhibits qualities of this caring, giving energy, we live in a dualistic universe, and there are some 9 life paths out there that are selfish, that are, it's like the complete opposite. It's selfish, again, charismatic, but it's more narcissistic than anything, And I think that we always have all these qualities within us on some level. So I'm a 9 life path. I also grew up with, I had a stepfather early on in life. He's not my stepdad now. The stepdad I have now is awesome, but the one I had growing up was another 9 life path, and frankly was a very selfish individual, abusive. And 9 energy is here to learn the golden rule: unconditional love and being selfless. Those are hard lessons to learn, okay? And sometimes, maybe having 9 energy, you're going to teach that to another soul by being a selfish a-hole. Okay, so it's the way I look at it, my soul kind of signed up to learn those lessons. To learn. My soul was like, you're gonna be a victim for a minute, so you can kind of learn what that's like. So you turn around and are nice to other people and want to help other people. Okay, I mean, sometimes it's not that extreme, but often 9s kind of identify with maybe having issues with one of the parents, or maybe even being like a child of divorce or something like that. But there's sometimes a wounded healer that I associate with the 9. What the hell else was I going to talk about? Okay, the 9s. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Nope, I'm not. Okay. 9 energy is very intuitive, can be highly psychic. It's very connected to spirit. I think everyone is psychic on some level. But with a 9, it's just more clicked on from birth for whatever reason. And there are a lot of, along with 7s, there are a lot of 9 life paths who are actually famous mediums as well. Lisa Williams is a good example of that, famous psychic mediums. John Holland, James Van Praagh is another 9. Nines tend to be funny. They tend to be charismatic, kind of funny people. Um, and again, there's like a dramatist, a dramatist energy that I associate with the nine. And sometimes when I say drama, I'm talking about, like the theater, but sometimes it literally is. Nines can have the biggest soap opera, to rival that of like great stories. So which can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing. So just if you're if you're a nine, you realize you're kind of living in your soap opera, like living in your own story. Just kind of realize that sometimes it's not always about you. So I say that coming from a nine life path. So let's see if there's anything else that I'm not remembering about the nine that I want to include. I will say because nines tend to be pretty generous people, and sometimes the universe kind of asks you to be, and just to kind of, it's like when you're a nine, you really want to give even when people aren't looking. Even when you're not going to get attention for it. It's important for you to be kind and loving, and the universe will turn around and bless you in different ways that it's unexpected. Okay, so I think that's important to kind of get across as well. Um, and also you can find nines in a lot of different career fields. Social workers, writers, religion, healers, but you really kind of find them across different fields. And I'm pretty good at picking out numbers. Like when I meet someone, I'm like, oh, I think this person's probably an eight or whatever it is. And nines kind of are the hardest one for me to figure out because they kind of blend in so much because they have all the other numbers within that one number. So, and also, last thing, nines, it's past lives. It's very intrigued by that idea, and often a lot of the story that plays out in their life has to do with past lifetimes, because you are completing or wrapping up something in your lifetime. If you're a nine life path, you may move on to a whole different plane of existence when you're done with this life path, or when you're done with this lifetime, because it is about wrapping things up, paying back karma, it's about just completing things out on some level, and a lot of the relationships and things that you have in this lifetime really have to do with prior lifetimes, and really kind of reaping what you've sown, basically, in other lifetimes. So let us move on to the master numbers. Okay, so if you have a 29, 11, 47, these all add up to 11. You're a master, it's a master number. Okay, so master number, it doesn't mean that you're any more special than anyone else. It does mean that your chart is talking about some added potential and, frankly, additional challenges to your energy. Okay, and it's talking about like added gifts, but it's just like you have to kind of master the master number. And so if you're an 11, everything I said about the two applies to you. However, the 11 is it's like the spiritual messenger. It's the philosopher. Okay. The 11, it contains masculine and feminine within it, because we have the ones, which is masculine, and two, which is feminine. So part of you is going to be it's super sensitive, perceptive, dreamy. Also, part of you is very opinionated and actually has leadership ability, and really is going to stand up for your ideals and fight for them. So it's kind of like you're like a 2-in-1 kind of deal here. You really have a message for humanity on some level, whether you know it or not. Just either by the virtue of the way that you live your life, or there's something that you really want to share with people on some level. If you have an 11 life path, there's like a knowing deep down that you're here to do something on some level for humanity. It's really people with 11 energy can really kind of inspire people. With like the way that you live your life, or whatever it is that you do. There's something about inspiration to the nine. Nines can be dreamers. Like they can really have this sort of big idea, this thing. But sometimes it's really important for the nines to get grounded and to bring their idea down to earth. 11s can be have frankly very psychic. You can have a lot of deja vu experiences, vivid dreams, prophetic dreams. Just knowing things without knowing why you know it comes in with the 11 energy. The 11s can kind of point to times in their life. Like when you see 11:11 on the clock, it's kind of similar when I talk about the 11 life path, because it's really talking about um, like they can point to times in their life where things were eerily synchronistic, or things lined up just perfectly, or being in the right place at the right time. 11s really tend to identify with that. Um, when you have a master number, the potential for kind of heightened success, notoriety, is amplified. Okay. And I don't want to do that just to fill your ego, but that is certainly something that can come in when you have an 11. People tend to be drawn to 11s. There's a charisma, a magnetism to the 11, because the 11 is a 2. And 2s don't necessarily want the attention. They kind of like to be in the background. They kind of find that uncomfortable sometimes. Adele is an example of someone with like an 11 life path. Someone super successful, this like massive talent, but also struggles with like stage fright and nerves and anxiety. Okay, and that can come in with the 11. Anxiety, nerves, depression. You just more prone to 11s need to make sure that they take care of their bodies, take care of themselves. I do find that people with 11 energy sometimes will use, alcohol, different substances, you know, like we all do, but um, just because they are so sensitive, sometimes they will maybe turn to it to kind of turn down their sensitivity, basically. So you want to make sure that you moderate those things. Um, I think that's it for the 11. I think that's it. Okay. Let's talk about the 22. Excuse me. So, 22, where the 11 is a spiritual messenger, the 22 is this master builder. Okay. Tina Fey is my favorite example of 22, because the 22 can take people who have 22 energy can really typically resonate with the feeling of a really big dream, really big idea, some sort of big ambition that they have. And it is, but that you really have the capability to make that a reality. Okay. People with 22 energy can really, leave lasting, to build things, and it lasts for centuries, it lasts for lifetimes. Okay. And you really have the ability to, this ability to bring order to chaos, to manage multiple different things, to really kind of achieve sort of superhuman success in a lot of ways. And Tina Fey is my favorite example because, Liz Lemon is a fictional character, but it is certainly a version of her. And just managing all, like if you watch 30 Rock, it's what I'm referring to, managing all kinds of insane situations, and being able to achieve the success that she has. Um, uh, Also with 22, because they're both twos, right? Two is sensitive. Two is you're good at reading people, getting along with other people. Again, two is quite intuitive, quite sensitive. Um, and it has these sort of these intuitive talents of the 11. Okay. Um, so if you're overwhelmed by your ambition, don't be with the 22, because you can really make it happen. There is you really have to take care of your body when you have 22 energy, because you just tend to be a bit more sensitive and have specific dietary, nutritional, whatever needs. Okay, specific health needs to your body. And with every magical 22, there's also a dark side, right? So there's a dark side to the 22 energy. 22, Charles Manson is at 22 life path. Okay. 22s can be a little bit obsessive, and there is a charisma to the 22. But just make sure that, because it's about mastering the master number. So not letting your ambition get the better of you. Okay. I'm not saying if you're 22, you're going to be the next serial killer, but I do want to point out that it's interesting that someone with this charismatic is also there's a kind of an obsessive quality to the 22 as well. So let's move on. Okay, so the 33, last but certainly not least, I associate, that's the year that Jesus supposedly was crucified. Okay, so it's 33 is associated with like master teacher, master healer. This number is associated with like superhuman compassion and love and just a very giving, sort of selfless heart. It's going to kind of take these six energies and amplify it because there might be a feeling that they want to fix everyone else's issues or problems, but on some level you can't do that. So and of course, the intuition comes in with the 33, the psychicness comes in with the 33. 33 is also very expressive because, again, we have those two threes sitting there. So it's extreme expressive abilities and can have this. A three is very childlike as well. So it can have kind of like a cherubic or childlike quality about them. So that about wraps that up. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you had a little bit more insight about your own particular life path number. And of course we're a blend of these different energies as well too. We have the birthday number. So if you look at your birthday number, because your birthday number is a gift or talent that you have, and listen to the life path explanation, and some of that is going to resonate for your birthday number as well too. So say you're born on the 13th, you might want to listen to the part about the 4. And so I think that about wraps it up for this week. Make sure to check out my website if you want to book a full reading yourself to learn more about your chart. acreakintuitive.com. The link is, of course, on the podcast here because my last name is always so weird to spell. So just click on the damn link. And if you would like a reading on a podcast in the future, please email me acreakintuitive.com. Again, my email address is listed below, or message me on Facebook, or you can follow me on Twitter as well. So until next time, thanks so much, guys.